Our next group of arthropods is the group Chelicerata, commonly called the chelicerates. This is a group that includes spiders, ticks, mites, scorpions, and all these animals are mostly terrestrial. There is a group of chelicerates that is aquatic or marine, and those are the horseshoe crabs. So horseshoe crabs are not actually crabs. They're not even related to crabs. They're more closely related to spiders and scorpions than they are to other crustaceans. One of the unifying features of chelicerates is the presence of chelicerae. Chelicerae are specialized mouth parts that this group of organisms have, and they're different from the kind of mandibles that we see in things like insects and in crustaceans. So all chelicerates have these chelicerae, and some of them have chewing mouth parts, some of them have hollow fangs like spiders. There's a lot of modifications, but sort of the root structure is always the same. Chelicerates have 4 pairs of ambulatory legs, so appendages that are used for locomotion and walking. And then they also have a pair of appendages that are not legs, but are called pedipalps. These are what are modified into claws in scorpions. And in spiders, it's a small pair of appendages. You can imagine it if you had a pair of hands growing out of the sides of your face that you could use to move food into your mouth with. It's kind of like that. So on this orb-weaving spider, you can see it's got the 4 pairs of actual legs, and then there's a small pair of appendages up front, the pedipalps. That's more for manipulation of objects than it is for moving. Chelicerates do not have any antennae, and they have a structure called a cephalothorax, which is sort of a fusion of the head and the thorax together. So in this group, we see a lot of fusion of segments in the adult forms or in the mature forms, even though they're very segmented during development, when they're embryos. As they mature and molt, there's a fusion of segments into larger body parts. So the head and thorax, where all the sensory organs are and where all the legs are attached, and then an abdomen behind that. The group after that is Crustacea, the crustaceans. This includes shrimp, lobsters, crabs, crayfish, even barnacles. When you look at barnacles, they may seem closer to mollusks in their shape or generally what they look like. But if you look inside that outer shell, that little cone that they produce, inside is an arthropod that's covered with a chitinous exoskeleton and a cuticle. They just have that extra layer outside that makes them look a bit more like limpets or mussels or things like that. Crustaceans, sort of the inverse of the chelicerates, are mostly aquatic and only a handful of terrestrial examples. So pretty much all of our crustaceans live in freshwater or saltwater, and then there's a group that is terrestrial, and those are called isopods. So isopods are commonly referred to as pillbugs or sowbugs or roly-polies. So these belong in the same group with crustaceans. They're not millipedes, they're not centipedes, and they're not insects. Crustaceans have a lot of different kinds of appendages, and there's lots of diverse form and function in their appendages. They have 2 pairs of antennae. They have lots of different appendages for locomotion, whether it's for crawling or swimming. And they too have a cephalothorax. So lots of segmentation on the back part of the body, and then up at the front there's a fusion of segments into a large body part where all of the legs attach, a lot of the other appendages attach, and all of the nervous tissue is concentrated up towards the front where all of the sensory organs are. If you've hiked around the damper parts of the Ozarks, you may have come across a structure that looks like this, maybe on your own lawn. This is a crayfish mound. And there are over 30 species of crayfish in Missouri, 7 of which are exclusively found in this state. Crayfish are definitely aquatic, but like crabs and other crustaceans, their exoskeletons help them move around on land for extended periods of time. So isopods are completely terrestrial. But a lot of other crustaceans, they still have gill tissue that they need to keep constantly moist in order to be able to draw oxygen from the atmosphere or bring oxygen into their tissues. But a lot of aquatic crustaceans are able to move around on land for short periods of time before needing to return to the water because they can hold in a lot of liquid inside the exoskeleton and won't desiccate very quickly due to that hard exterior. The last group I'd like to talk about is hexapoda. And this is commonly referred to as insects. So hexapods actually does include a couple of organisms that are not technically insects, but the majority of the diversity within this group are all class Insecta. The insects are the most successful animal group, and we can quantify success in a number of different ways. We can look at the amount of biomass that they have on the planet Earth. We can look at the number of species that they have. We can count the number of different ecosystems that they're an integral part of. In all cases, they outstrip pretty much any other group of animals. So by many metrics, we can call them the most successful animal group. Insect diversity forms 87% of all arthropod diversity and 62% of all animal diversity. So when we look at all forms of life, including protists, plants, and fungi, and all other animals, insect diversity makes up more than half of all of that. It's pretty incredible. Insects are mostly terrestrial, and if not terrestrial, often freshwater aquatic. Rarely are insects marine. The crustaceans seem to have that on lock or kind of taken care of. Insects have mandibles for mouthparts as opposed to chelicerae, so it's just a different kind of mouthpart. They have one pair of antennae, unlike the 2 pairs that crustaceans have. And there's a fusion of segments into head, thorax, and abdomen. And there's variations on this body plan, on this ancestral body plan. But when we look at the development of insects and look at what each of the segments in the larval form turns into, we can still trace the development of a head, a thorax, and an abdomen. The head is where the bulk of the nervous tissue is and all of the sensory organs. The thorax is where all of the locomoting appendages are attached to, so the 3 pairs of legs and the 2 pairs of wings. And then the abdomen is where you get a concentration of digestive organs and reproductive organs.